The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
So guys, it's Sunday and that means one thing, the Sunday show is back and we're here for a big pre-match build-up for Celtic's trip to Rugby Park.
You know it, mate. You know it. The football is back, Reegan. I'm buzzing. Do you know what? Do you know in a weird, twisted way? I actually think I've missed all the drama that usually happens at the start of the season. It just feels like it's been a bit dull. All this calmness and normality in life.
Aye.
You know, everything we strive for in football is actually quite boring.
Aye.
I actually think I prefer the turmoil.
Well, I was going to ask you guys straight off, what is the one game that sticks out at Rugby Park? Because for me, it's the day Scott Brown won the league at Rugby Park when he scored that 90+ free minute winner when Brendan Rodgers, I think it was his second last game. Would have been right in saying that? I think it was.
Well, for me, it was the 6-0 when we won the league.
Oh, aye, what a game that was as well.
I took my wee brother Adam to that match. I think that was his first away match he went to. So he picked his first away match.
Was that Mulgrew first scorer?
I think he scored two
That
that day,
was
but I'm
that-
not really sure.
That was that.
Aye, Glenn Loovens maybe might have scored another.
Aye, I think it was.
Aye.
What was it? Was that the beautiful yellow and black strip? Remember the yellow and black?
Aye.
Remember the?
Mhm.
But remember the? We also had the 6-goal thriller when Kilmarnock went 3-0 up and then Neil Lennon in the dressing room.
Huge moment, by the way. Seeing
45 minutes.
Seeing this and this since the millennium, that has got to now go down as one of the most important second halves that has happened for
Aye.
Celtic, period. Honestly, it is. That second 45 minutes. And by the way, Lennon deserves all the critics he gets for the first 45. But he deserves all the praise in the world for whatever he did at half-time that day. But that was a huge turning point, that. You know that?
Aye.
That was massive.
The Stoke free kick to make it 3-2, and then Charlie Mulgrew pops up with the free each.
Aye, and obviously Nakamura's free kick to win the league as well.
Aye. Do you know I've got visions?
And Petrov's winner to win the league as well. I've won like 3 times. Yeah,
Do you know I've got visions? I've got visions of Kenny Miller jumping off the bench that day. Even though Kenny Miller wasn't playing, I just remember him jumping off the bench celebrating.
Quite keen, was
That's
he?
right, aye.
Was he quite happy, was he?
Aye.
Funny that, eh?
Aye. I wonder if he did these championship medals that he's got at Celtic. I'm sure he's got a few. I think he only won 1 or 2 because of the
One.
time he was there.
What,
One,
mate,
they won 1.
See, Kenny Miller.
Wonder what
Kenny
did with
Miller.
that.
Kenny Miller was one of those players, Mark, right? Where it could be you or I. Because all you got told was, I bet he works bloody hard, eh? Gives you 100% every game. Like, I'll give you 100% every game. The chances are I'll probably score more than 3 SPFL goals in a full season playing for Celtic. You know what I mean? 3 league goals, mate, in his full season at Celtic. 3.
I think the season we sold him, he scored 3 goals in 4 matches. I think
Sorry.
he started quite well.
2 at Pataudry.
Sorry, Russell,
Aye.
I've got the starting lineup, but if you could bring it
Aye,
up.
can you give me it?
Phil McGinley's got it in the comments. Russell.
I can't see that, mate. Can you shout it for me, please?
I'll read it out. I will go through it. So it's Joe Hart in goals, naturally. Josip Juranovic is still at the club, and he's playing at right back. Jens and Cameron Carter-Vickers are centre back. Greg Taylor's at left back. Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly, and David Turnbull make up the midfield. You've got Jota and Maeda wide, and it's Kyogo up top, not Chaos.
I'm disappointed in. No, I'm up for that. It's a good team.
It's the same
strong team,
lineup,
but
innit? It's the same lineup, innit?
Aye.
I think if I don't know what Mayor Jota has to do to get on the left, and I don't know what Giakoumakis has to do to get a start in these kind of stuffy games. I really don't know.
Because that's what I
Oh
put
well,
on
still strong.
for one of the
And don't forget, we've got a Chelsea left back on the right back on the Park and North. So when
Mark,
you've got that, you've always got an assist in you.
Monty's already beat you to it, Mark. He's already saying fireball, get it right fucking up you, Mark. Well, a smiley face, obviously, at the end. Because Monty's not like that, but he's already blowing smoke. Yes, go on.
I tell you something, he could definitely play for Manchester United after yesterday. They were atrocious, man.
Well, Reegan, see whilst Juranovic could play for Man United, it turns out I'm actually on the scouting department for Man United. I don't know if you have heard. It's been a recent development. When I say that Ange would be the perfect fit for Manchester United, I'm told to shh. Because actually, that must be my ego getting the better of me. And perhaps, guys, Man United might be looking at Russell Bhoycie's tweets. And maybe I'm going to plant the seed for them. I mean, these people are in cloud cuckoo land. They don't live in the normal. I mean, the thing is, the optics are, and you know I love that word, the optics are, Ange is the calm that they need. Ange would play the perfect Man United football. But at no point does me having that opinion or observing that fact mean anything that Manchester United are now going to suddenly approach Celtic for their manager. Folk need to calm down, man.
These are the same fucking morons that was last area touting Juranovic for Chelsea. So they weren't ready the best right back in Europe. But when you mentioned that a manager might be, oh mate, honestly, the shit that app allows, I think it's a cry for help. I think people should be like a key worker or like a responsible adult watching some of these people's tweets and just step in at the right moment.
I don't know. I got told it was podcaster syndrome, Mark. That was my favourite tweet for yesterday. So whoever that was, a big shout out to you. It's called podcaster syndrome.
Me too. I was told the default setting for anybody on this is to be defensive. I was just sitting mind business. I get tagged into a conversation with nothing to do with me. What are you talking about?
It's your fault, Mark.
No, mate, to be fair, I'll give the guy his due.
That is part of the reason why I don't tweet very much anymore, Russell. But I totally agree. I totally agree with you because see if you look at Ange, he's not just brought the fans together; he's brought the board together, which Neville talks about so much. That board at Man U are rotten to the core. He's brought also the fans together, so I think Ange would be perfect for it. But I don't want people to shoot me down on Twitter, so sorry, guys.
The Twitter police are always watching, Reegan. Let's get to it, mate. Let's get to it.
Yep. So the first talking point we've got, guys, is what are you expecting from Rugby Park? Because I've got some stats for you. The last time Commander beat Celtic was in 2018 at Rugby Park, but we Celtic's unbeaten in the last 38. From the last 38, Celtic have won 35 games at Rugby Park, and
Fair
five
dues.
and five of the last 6 games at Rugby Park, we've scored more than 2 goals. So
Mm.
I
It's
think
strange where that narrative that Rugby Park's where bogey ground comes from, because you're saying 35 out of 38. That's a really good record, you know what I mean? And makes you wonder why we've all got it in our head. Maybe it's a plastic pitch, but a lot of Celtic fans just get really worried about Rugby Park, and that day as well. I was there that day. They beat us and all, and I think they scored in the last minute. I think it was that Celtic player, that youth player, Finlay, was it, that scored right at the last kick of the ball?
Stuart Finlay.
He beat us right to death. But I don't know where that comes from, because I must admit I'm a bit paranoid about Kilmarnock and all that. It's a stadium that I like going to. I think it's a nice, wee, tidy stadium and it's good atmosphere. But it's a weird setup that we're so worried about going there.
What I will say about Kilmarnock is, I understand why you're so worried, because if you look at the couple of games that we've always been there, we've always been 1-0 up for long stages. I remember when Malumbu scored and then got a move to Celtic off the back of it. Remember, he scored that last minute goal when in January when Rodgers went there and beat us 1-0, and I think I was at that game actually, and
Oh God!
and then he gets a move straight off the back of it to Celtic. I mean, I don't know how that guy warranted a move to Celtic.
Ask Lawwell. Lawwell signed it, no Rodgers.
100%. I mean, if anyone thinks that's who Brendan Rodgers identified all that summer, they are living in cuckoo land. They believe anything.
And then then don't forget, Russell, he was thrown on to play in a Europa League group stage match against RB Salzburg, and he was playing. Remember that? It was
nonsense. You can only work with the tools you're given, eh? But I mean, Rodgers was very much given those tools, as Mark's alluded to. Anyone who wants to pile on Brendan Rodgers for being a rat, I think when you're looking at the tools he was given, you did a brilliant nostalgia show this week. I don't know if you've seen it, Reegan, right? It was amazing. Actually, the guys actually took you back to the 16-17 season. It was class. And they were talking about how that season might look, and it's still, in fact, it doesn't look, it was an incredible year. But that January window, Reegan, all we did was bring in Bhoycie, who at first they knew that little about. They were calling him Kwasi Eboué when he first joined. And you look back and you go, that's all. So people talk about building from a position of strength here, and Celtic's a different team now and stuff, and no one should be surprised by the lack of movement right now from Celtic in the transfer market. We don't build from positions of strength. We're not a proactive club, we're a reactive club. Mark my words, Reegan. Mark my words. If the other lot are to beat PSV, which I suspect they actually might.
I suspect they will.
Right, okay.
They will.
Let's say they will. They knock out PSV Eindhoven. Celtic will then spend based on what they spend of their earnings. That's what it's all about. We don't proactively spend our money. We wait. We wait and we watch. And it's always been like this. Reegan, when they were in the bottom tier, we waited and we watched. We signed Colin Kazim Richards and Kurt Cole. See, when we finished 4th in the league in the 90s, they signed Paul Gascoigne. They didn't care, mate, about where we are. We care about where they are. Whether we like that or not, it's the truth.
I mean,
I agree.
I mean, you look at Ange on Friday, I think he's buying into this narrative as well. He was saying, well, Celtic done great business getting Jota and Vickers at the start of the window. Now, I totally agree with that, Ange. But if you want to go and strengthen, you should be able to go and strengthen. You've got that £40 million, and we've still not seen spend it at all.
Oh, he's not seen any of that, Reegan. I mean, I think I've long since got myself into the headspace that Celtic will do what Celtic do. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that, mate. I mean, they think, well, see, when our support thinks that we've got a team that's unbeatable, then why should the board strengthen? Because they've already fooled the masses anyway.
See, to me, Matt, right, we've already had, signed the players we expected to sign. So, for me, Celtic would have already signed Aaron Moy, Jota, and Vickers have to finish second in the league. So don't buy into the
Oh,
narrative.
I think.
So
I
don't
think
buy
so,
into
aye.
So I don't buy into this narrative that if we didn't finish first, we wouldn't have signed Aaron Moy from the Chinese league at 32 years of age.
Oh God, he's going to be the one that's going to be a game changer, isn't he?
Aye.
We'll be getting to this. We'll be getting to this pre-match talk before somebody
Yeah.
chinges for not talking about the match.
So what are you thinking for today, Matt? I'm thinking it might be a long range effort from Callum McGregor, the same way Rogic used to. Remember that?
Oh, you tipping that?
Remember that goal that Rogic scored in the last minute, and it was just jumping over to the fans. I think it could be. I think it could be a long day. I think it could be like 1-1 going into the last 15 minutes, and then McGregor pops up with an absolute rocket in the top corner. That's what I think.
Well, I don't mind the exciting matches after the final whistle goes, but my wee heart just can't take the games. You know what I mean?
No, it won't be like that. Derek McInnes versus Celtic is
he's very passive, mate.
I don't mind.
You watch our centre backs. We're going to get a lot of space, see, because he's always provided those Celtic centre backs with a lot of space. They'll let them go forward and see what happens, and we'll just have the ball 90% of the match.
I mean, I don't actually mind McInnes as a manager. I mean, I think he did a brilliant job at Aberdeen, but versus Celtic, where he is not just his Achilles heel, we're a complete hex on him. Like he's got he makes me more confident about the result.
Aye, that's quite true actually, because if you think about his Aberdeen team, I think we've always Celtic have always done well against them.
Reegan, he shows us too much respect. Don't show a Celtic team that's got a bit of swagger respect. See, Rodgers' Celtic team, if you gave them an inch, they took a mile, right? And I believe Postecoglou's team is very much like that as well. They look for weakness in teams, and if you give a sign of weakness to the forward threat that we've got, I'm sorry, that Celtic team pounces. And I do believe Mark's right. There will be sitting off periods. There'll be times where our centre backs might play passy about for a wee while. But believe you me, if they want to sit off this Celtic team for 90 minutes, they will fail. And I think they'll fail quite massively, to be honest. I think it could be 3 or 4 today.
This might be controversial, sorry, Mark. But I think that this would be the perfect game for Burnley to come in.
No.
Well, he's not starting. We've obviously looked at the lineup now. He's went with the
is he on the bench?
He's went with the exact. Well, I've not seen the bench, mate, but he's went with the exact same lineup as last week. I wonder if we've expected the squad depth that we search for, guys. Right, has always been based on the fact that there's variables in the Scottish fixture list, i.e., Livingston away and Kilmarnock away, plastic pitches, right? Different types of games. It puts a completely different spectrum on it, right? Now, I thought they would be games earmarked for Giakoumakis. I thought that is the honest truth. I wonder now if you're seeing the fact is Giakoumakis was always Angie's backup striker. I know maybe we're jumping the gun a wee bit. But having said that, even though it sounds like I'm being a wee bit, hysterical, at the same time, this would be the fixture you would say, well, if he's going to start any game and the two of them are fit, if Kyogo and Giakoumakis are fit, will Giakoumakis start a game? I would say Killie away, Livingston away. They would be your shoo-ins, eh? If they're both fit. But or is it really Kyogo is there and Giakoumakis is below?
Because for me, Russell, I think that against Livingston and Kilmarnock, it's going to be a physical contest, and you want to get balls in the box. So I think that no Giakoumakis. Giakoumakis on the bench.
Phil's called him Chaos Reegan. Don't worry, that's why you're reading it. Phil must have copied and pasted the subs bench, right? And then typed in Chaos instead of Giakoumakis. So it's Mark, for your benefit, Seagrist,
please.
Starfelt, Giakoumakis, Abada, Moy, McCarthy, Bernaby, Forrest, Ralston.
Pretty strong bench, yeah.
I think so. I agree with that.
Yeah. I think that's what. See, I was just going to say. Sorry, quickly. I'm just going to say. See that maybe the fact that Maeda and Kyogo are playing is he's expecting a kind of Again, a stuffy defence I always refer to, and he's got to try and get in behind him. You know what I mean? And he's his quicker players, and maybe that's why Giakoumakis isn't playing. But I think with games like that, I know, see you get to the byline, you're going to need somebody that's able to get up in the air and finish it in. And I don't know if Kyogo's that player, and we all know Maeda's certainly know that player. And we've not got a lot of height, and I think Giakoumakis is good at that. You know what I mean? He's good at, like, his anticipation is really good. That's why they call him Chaos, because he's just always seems to know where the ball is going to fall, and he loves all that kind of pinball football. He loves it, you know, and maybe that's why he's playing Kyogo to get and run in behind the defence, because he kind of sit in the goal line. But maybe he's Giakoumakis is the 20-minute cameo for the last throw of the dice. Who knows? But on your point, Russell, I definitely think that Kyogo's Ange's number one, and I think he's got number ones out of the park. I think Maeda's his number one, Hatate's number one, and I think he's going to push Moy as much as possible to get as much game time. So I think there's going to be a lot of players that I think are going to have the Gordon Strachan syndrome, where he had players that were undroppable in big matches. I mean, they were just never going to be dropped, no matter how what the form was like.
Ange's only human, Mark. That's the thing.
And
favouritism
natural.
does creep in, and it's our gift. It's our gift to be able to look at it from the outside and go, do you know what? You're picking him because you like him. You're picking him just because you like him, mate. That's the truth.
It's not always the best 11 that's trained the hardest and the best Monday to Friday that gets a start. It's the players who he knows he can trust, or the players who he thinks that guy just gives me what I want. I know Ange did say he's not got a starting 11, but Bhoycie, see if all your team is fit, I could give you Celtic starting 11 for the first game of the season to the last. I could guarantee you I could pick your first 11.
That's fair enough.
All your players are fit, and it's not because see if there's a football manager out there that hasn't got a first 11, then I don't think he knows his squad.
No, I agree with you.
And that's a fact, mate. I know some people don't like to admit when Ange sometimes when Ange says I've not got a first 11, he's boosting the egos of the players who are on the edge of the squad.
The periphery.
The periphery. Mate. He's giving them a wee bit of no. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of players that's going to get a lot of game time under Ange, and I like how he gives the French players game times.
Everyone stop. Rooster.
No way.
Me and you've been getting on so well, Rooster. You've been a breath of fresh air on the Bhoycie bus. But this is the quote, Mark Cairney. I'd be happy to sell GG next summer for a more Ange-style player.
No
Rooster.
way. No
Rooster,
way,
that's nearly blockable, mate. Like, I could actually block you for that. Wow.
I mean, this guy was
Wow.
this guy was the top goal scorer last season in the Scottish Premiership.
You can't just say that.
He missed 6 months of the season. That's what he did. He didn't start the first 3-4 months, and then he was still top goal scorer. Listen, that guy is everything I like in a striker. He's mobile for his height. He's strong in the air. Rangers hate him, and I think if he doesn't play the 4 derby matches this season,
it's a mistake.
They will be making mistakes. I think I love Kyogo. In fact, he's right up there with Ralphson as the guy that I just love to see in a Celtic shirt. But see, Kyogo, doesn't he offer you what Giakoumakis does in their matches? Because Giakoumakis just their centre backs just are fucking totally useless when he's in the park. They just need to watch him 24/7. They can't move. And part of the Rangers' game is that like our team, their centre backs like to go forward, open up space for the wide players, let Ken run into these spaces. See if you occupy their 2 centre backs the way Giakoumakis does. That totally throws a curveball into how they build up for the back. Well, Kyogo will run into their press, which is different.
Mark, the facts don't lie. Chaos was fit for 2 of the games against Rangers this season. Didn't start.
Won both of them.
Win them. We didn't.
The 2 that he missed. I know. And I think they would win at Hampden if they played.
I'm in no doubt.
Sorry, also to play devil's advocate. I mean, Peter Grant was saying this week that if you look at Giakoumakis, right, he was playing for a bottom level team last year, and he still finished top goal scorer in the Dutch league. So that's a guy that he must have got so little chances, and he still finished top goal scorer.
Reegan, this is a guy who had a £12 million release clause Folk aren't getting it. The only reason we got Giakoumakis, or even could come close to affording Giakoumakis, is because his team got relegated. That was the best thing that could ever happen to Celtic, because that triggered a £2.6 million release clause. But if they'd stayed up to release him from his contract, it was £12 million.
We don't get players like that, mate. Even if we were handed the £12 million in an envelope, we still wouldn't spend it. So we wouldn't have got him.
I do like this comment from Blue Baron, who says, "I'm a Rangers fan and quite happily sell Giakoumakis."
Yeah, it tells you all.
Well, that says it all, mate. That sums it right up there.
He's telling
I
the
don't
truth.
think that guy Rooster's having a wee laugh or just trying to maybe get his talking.
I don't know, but the Blue Baron, he's saying that very much tongue in cheek, because he's been he's a Rangers fan, but he's been a regular on the bus from day one. And he's saying that very much. He's saying, "Oh, I sell him," because he doesn't want to see chaos.
He's saying that because I would happy for Rangers to sell Ryan Kent. I think he's a good player. So if I'm happy for players to go, it's because I don't want to be up against him.
Because you respect him.
You respect him, mate. Definitely. For a shadow of doubt.
But anyway, guys, the next thing I want to move on to is the fact that Ange Postecoglou has come out in his press conference this week to the newspapers and said that he is not happy with the plastic pitch, and he's not going to select Rio for the matchday squad. And I think for me that just shows you why we need to get rid of plastic pitches. Because for me, I think I'm going to stick my neck on the line. I think Rio Hatate will be the player of the year in Scotland. And if we are stopping the player of the year in Scotland from playing possibly 4 games a season, 2 at Livingston and 2 at Kilmarnock, or possibly more than that if they get in the top 6. If we are stopping our best players from playing, that just shows you that there's something wrong.
Well, Reegan, it's interesting what you're saying. I mean, to my mind, I'm sure these guys train a lot on plastic pitches as well. I don't think it's a good advert for the league, though. I agree with you on that. I don't think it's where we should be playing professional games on. But where the argument falls apart a wee bit is Rio Hatate, 24 years old. How many times he's playing the plastic pitch so far in his career? I would say 1 million. You know, he's come on. It's not like it's this foreign surface that he's never ever set foot on before. I think.
No, he played at Arminville, didn't he?
Yeah, there'll be reasons that Rio Hatate's been left out, and Ange's.
Of course, there'll be reasons. But also, you need to think about his record being injured. I mean, to go back to Blue Baron. Blue Baron will know a certain Rangers player, Jamie Murphy. He was playing for Rangers when Rangers played Kilmarnock. I was looking at it in preparation for the show, but he was playing in it for Rangers against Kilmarnock on the exact same pitch, and he broke his leg on the pitch, and he was out for a year. So
and maybe that's why Hatate's not playing today, mate, because I guess his lower back is injured, so maybe it's like that strain he's got wouldn't be a good idea to be playing on that surface. It'll probably be a one-off. I can't see if we're back there next March that he's not going to be playing. I think if he's fit, he's playing. It's just maybe just been his rehabilitation, and they've been given advice and said, look, don't forget, Jozo Simonovic. He couldn't play there. Simonovic. He couldn't play there. He couldn't play in any plastic pitches, and that gave us real selection headaches when we were going to. At one point, we had 3, and that's a quarter of the teams. I mean, and had plastic pitches, and that's not right. You know, I mean, I think Ange is correct. I think Brendan Rodgers is correct. Steven Gerrard mentioned it. I'm sure Jovan van Bronckhorst doesn't like it either. These guys that have played at good levels, and see if these people are saying it's no conducive to good football, I'm going to take their word for it. And not just that, I've got my own eyes. Well, I've got one eye that works really. And when I watch Celtic play these games, and don't forget, we've already had Matt O'Reilly. He's not played in there before, right? And his press conference on Friday, he says, we know it's going to be a dry pitch, blah, blah, blah. So he's been told after other players what to expect, right? So it just shows you the players are talking to him and saying, well, this is
Yeah.
going to be a cunt of a game.
Yeah,
It's going to be a
true.
cunt of a game for us to watch. But to be quite honest with you, football players should be able to play football in any surface. And I get the argument that people think it's because Kilmarnock rent the stadium out. No, Kilmarnock will use that to train. They've not got training facilities and they can't afford a £1 million training complex. That's why these teams rationale that they use plastic pitches, because they use that as their training surfaces as well. It's not because they rent it to a school for £500 a week.
But the clubs were allowed to get into that, Mark. That's the thing. Now they're relying on that revenue because that's now part of their income stream that they base all the forecasts on, right? But the fact of the matter is, see, it should never have got to that. Does that make sense? It should never have got to that, Mark. But now it's there, and there's look at this Fiji. Hey, I don't know what $5, but
thank you very much, mate.
What a legend, man. Massive Celtic mob down here in the Pacific Islands. A big shout out to the Pacific Islands, to be specific about
it. Because I want to...
but see, sorry, you can just go quickly on what Russell said there. See, when Falkirk got promoted and Aberdeen were getting relegated, Falkirk weren't allowed to be promoted because they didn't have a 10,000 seat stadium.
12,000.
12,000. So it was blocked. It was blocked on that basis, right?
Twice.
Falkirk, right? And what's my train of thought there? Aye, so it was blocked on that basis. So at that time, the SPL at the time were trying to get the best product on the park for the TV cameras, etc. So so much so that they knocked back a team who got promoted through sporting merit. So what's to say that this new rule couldn't come into play? That's 6 times now, boys. So twice, 3 times.
But for Falkirk to be denied that twice is it tells you it wasn't just about it's not about sport anymore though, then, mate.
No, it's cost.
It's about the cost of Aberdeen going down. That's what that's about.
Falkirk were owned by the guy Barr who built stadiums. He built Celtic Park. But anyway, so there is a way for the club to say, look, we've got to put the best product on the park. So for the TV cameras as well, we spoke about this about Sky, etc. Let's make it as appealing as possible. So to these plastic pitches, let's look at it again. We're not going, but let's look at it again and just say, is it good to watch? I don't think any of us three think it's good to watch.
Mark, I remember when you had Steve Clark as manager of rugby park, and he used to say when Rangers and Celtic came, we'd look. I don't think we'll put some water on the pitch to try and make it as dry as possible. So that's what they try and do. They try and make it as dry as possible, so it's harder for us to play. And to me, that is wrong as well. But why should you not put water on the pitch before the game?
Well, I think it's every groundsman's gift what they want to do with the pitch.
I know, but
the problem is, Reegan, it's going to go back to it. It's the fact it's plastic is what your point is, but it's every groundsman's gift. If they go out with their fork and they go, do you know what, that's not going to suit Celtic today, they won't water their grass pitch. It's because the plastic pitch, you're combining the two things. But realistically, by not watering a plastic pitch, yes, it double downs on it, but the reality is that's a gift that every groundsman has at any ground.
Mm-hmm. But to me, that's still not right, because that could be a Kilmarnock player that could get injured.
Would you remember Hearts did it 3 years ago, and they said the grass was too long, and the next morning there was a photograph by Hearts saying like a tractor on the pitch, and they were saying, just take the piss out of Celtic, And Brendan Rodgers was saying, like, if you're trying to sell this game globally, make it look as professional as possible. Now, it might look like underhand tactics to us, but to be quite honest with you, Rangers did it back in the day. They used to shorten the pitch by a yard or two on each side, maybe a yard each side, so that the foreign team's wingers would be a bit less able to run up and down the park. And I don't think there's anything wrong with like playing the opposition and using wee tactics like that. But on the other hand, I think you've got to sell the product, and if the product suffers because of it, now, that could save a manager's job 1 point or 3 points. So I understand the reason why they do use these tactics, you know what I mean? And there's nothing illegal in it. But I think there should be certain standards put in place across the board, and that could be grass length that we've seen at Tynecastle, that could be a certain level of moisture on the grass or plastic. I mean, surely in tennis, lawn tennis, there must be a certain, like level of playing field. You know what I mean?
Length of
Surely there
stuff.
must be adjudicators that watch that and say, whether you're playing the French Open against a French woman or a French man, there's got to be a certain level of like spin on the ball or whatever. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're kind of you're trying to get an advantage.
I want to
I
ask.
just can't see it happening.
I want to ask you guys one more question. Do you think it turns players away from joining Celtic and Rangers if they're playing on the AstroTurf?
I don't think that'll be a big factor in that, Reegan. I don't think it's a deciding factor. I think more going back on topic what we've been discussing the past week. I think from a TV point of view, when you're trying to get the best revenue possible, you're trying to achieve TV deals with huge broadcasters. I don't think the optics are good then. I think when, any broadcaster, whether it be Amazon Prime, Sky Sports, whoever you want to name, whoever you care to mention, whether it even be SPFL TV, when they club round, they go, right, the big games are going to be Rangers Celtic away because their majority of their fan base can't be at the ground, obviously, because these are 50 and 60,000 stadiums. So where do they go? They watch it on whatever the stream broadcasting right is. If we're watching that on a plastic pitch, are we making the most of having, for the only twice that season, for example, Rugby Park's full, are we making the most of it, or is it to the obsidiary eye looking like a bit of a backwater? That's the issue. I don't think players are turned off by it, Reegan, but I do believe your broadcasting, your sponsorship, and your merchandise, and all the sort of things that we want to promote in the game, I think are hampered by having plastic pitches at 2 out of your 12 grounds. Do I think players are turned off by it? I highly doubt that. I think they buy into when they sign for Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
Right, guys, so I'm guessing we've probably only got about 10 minutes left in this show because of the fixture starting at 12 today. So what are you thinking then about your score predictions, guys?
Well, my prediction was 2-1 on the predictor, so I'm going to stick by that. I think we've got goals in us, but Kyle Lafferty's a bastard against Celtic. He always just seems to find a lie. But I'm boosted by hearing that Jens has started, quite honest with you. He looks a bit more assured. Somebody that I'm scared to mention in case the usual folk spend half their day talking about it. So I think he's no Welsh. But I think I think Celtic will go to win in them. Of course, I do. I think it's a strong team, very strong team. The back four picked itself. Midfield looks strong. I would have liked Hatate in there. I think sometimes Turnbull and O'Reilly don't really work together as much as what Hatate and Earder does, in my opinion. But we've got more than enough to beat them in the midfield.
There you go, Mum. Sorry, Mum, I've got 2 scoreline predictions in so far, and it's Jerry who says 7-0 to Celtic. And then we've got Monty who says 6-0 to Celtic. So I would definitely...
Never the optimist, never the realist, mate. That's what it is. No, I would take any win for Celtic today. I'm trying to think it's more like first 2 results.
I think it's a convincing win today, Mark. I do. You must feel optimistic. Do you know?
Aye. Yeah.
I'm convinced today.
I tipped Celtic for a win, mate.
They drew 1-1 with Dundee United, and then they got beat 3-0 by Rangers. So,
yeah, I just think Derek McInnes is right. He just doesn't. He's not got the belief. It's weird, but I just think we've got a hex on him. I think Celtic will expose that today.
I think he'll play into our hands a wee bit if it allows us time on the ball. But we saw at Ross County last week, for 50 minutes while the stream let us. But it doesn't always go hand in hand. Having a lot of the ball means they're going to be smashing shots into the keeper. I think the chances were quite sparing last week until it got to the latter stages. So we'll see what happens today. But I fancy Celtic to win. You
look at Jota's form right now as well, though, and you just think he's not caring. See all the discussion we've just had. It's all irrelevant to someone like Jota right now. See when you're flying, Reegan, right? See when you're flying, your confidence is there. He's not giving a fuck whether he's playing on sand, ash, blaze. or a plastic pitch. He doesn't care right now. Jota's just like, give me the ball and I'll make things happen. People have, they carry these waves of confidence.
I'll give you a prediction. I'll give you a prediction, Bhoycie.
Okay.
I think there'll be a period during the match that Jota will switch to the left, and within 5 minutes, within 5 minutes, we'll score or have a goal scoring opportunity.
I like that. I think that's fair, because that takes us into a completely different realm of debate now. Right now, it's strange because at this time of year, Mark, normally 14th of August, we're chewing over the bones of 6-7 Celtic games so far this season, right? Right now, we've only got 2 to go by. There's 2 wins out of 2. So when you're analysing that and you're being even remotely critiquing it, you're looking like you're a negative bastard. And it's like, no. We've not got much to go by. But I have to agree with you. In the 180 minutes we've seen so far, Jota is undeniably more effective. Undeniably more effective when he's put to the left. Right now, that is Angie's gift still to pick the team, because he'll say, this is my lineup, 2 wins from 2. So shut your mouth and let me win points. And we go, right, fair enough. Right, fair enough. But we see the changes that are happening during the game. We're seeing how Jota's actually came to life when he's been put to the left. We're seeing that Abada right now has a hammer. In fact, he's like Jack for The Shining right now with an axe. Putting an axe through that door, mate. You know, here's Abada, because there's only so long you can ignore him. There's only so long. This guy, Abada, for me, epitomises what Andrew's looking for. And I've said that about Maida as well, to be fair, because I know about the work rate. But Abada's directness, it can't be taught. In fact, do you know what? See, when Abada's 25, 26, they'll probably not be as good as what he is now, because he'll know too much about football. Experience will kill him. See, when you play with no experience, no care, free will.
No shackles.
You look at him and you just go, let him breathe. Just let him go, because he's not thinking about the full context. As you get older, sometimes you go, oh, if I do that, that might happen. And I've seen that movie before. Whereas Abada right now, I think, is a free spirit. I actually think he's the ace in the pack this season again. And I think, by the way, see if you look at his numbers last year, I think you would look back at that and go, how much did he contribute to us winning 2 trophies? Massively. I wonder if this season he could be the ace in the pack, because no one's expecting him to start. See the start lineup today, Mark? You were saying that you could predict it. Was Abada in your predicted start lineup? No, it wasn't.
No, mate. No, because
I
think if Maeda's, that's what I'm thinking. Like, he has got his favourite players, and unfortunately for Abada, he's just going to have to be one of the players like Derek Riordan, who will get a chance whenever the manager tells him he's got a chance. I don't think no matter what he does in the training park is going to matter. I think if he come on the day in the last 10 minutes and scored two goals to win the match,
I think
start next week.
I think Abada. I think he'll be offended you referred him to Derek Riordan.
No,
that is ridiculous.
No, listen, he's a listening wang. For a start, I said, like Derek Riordan, no matter how much the Celtic fans were calling him out, he was never going to get a chance at Celtic. My point was, hang on, mate. My point was, no matter what happens, like, see Celtic are going to beat 1-0 a day and he gets 10 minutes and he scores equaliser and then scores a winner. See the next match, he's on the bench. No matter what he does, no matter irrelevant what he does.
What do you think?
He scored against Rangers. Still couldn't push Maid out of the way and get Jota on the left. He's made as his player, and he has to get Jota on the park because he spent that money on him, and Jota's just undroppable. So no matter what happens, the front three is going to be Maeda, Abada, and Ayala. Sorry, I meant Jota.
I know what you mean.
I wasn't comparing them to the two of them are playing different positions for a start, but I just meant there's some players who it's irrelevant. No matter what they do, it's irrelevant. They're never going to get the chances that the fans. Because I wanted, why did they get 5-10 games for Celtic? And the season before he came, Gordon Stratton said he was the best finisher in the league. Derek Riordan. So
I think he was.
So I don't think it's a bad comparison to be class. And this is a league that contained Jan Veriguer of Hesselink, National Novo scoring 30 goals, etc., etc. So
I know what you mean.
The guy was at a good level with Derek Riordan. So
Aye.
And
But
I think
when-
Abad is more of an out-and-out
I
winger,
think
to be
for-
honest.
Can we
See,
go on, Reegan? Sorry.
Sorry. I think the big thing for me is when you play on the plastic park, see if you score that goal in the first 5 or 10 minutes, that could just they could just fold right away for me. See if you're waiting and let it 65 minutes and it's still no, then it's a totally different game. But see if you score nice and early, Jota's playing well, Maeda's playing well, it's a totally different game. Then they're chasing their tail straight away, you know?
It's a game plan goes out the window, mate.
Aye.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I suppose it's the same principle. I mean, you could take out the words plastic pitch there, and you could probably put that on any of our away games. To be fair, I think that principle's still the same. If we get an early goal, it's doomsday for teams. You know, if we don't, folk might want to see if there's a chink in the armour. But I actually think Celtic's playing right now. I'll go back to it. There's a strange calmness even about me right now. We're 31 minutes for kickoff, and I'm normally by now going, oh fuck, you know what I mean? Away game, like I didn't like it feeling. Do you know what I mean? Like I enjoyed the summer. I'll be honest, I enjoyed no games, right? I did because I just enjoyed doing the pod, and I was like, right, we can just talk Celtic and about, you know, fluffy stuff. You know what I mean? It's all, you know, rainbows and all that shit. Whereas now it's like normally I feel weirdly calm even about today, and I don't know if it's because the season's starting at a slow pace when we're used to it being boom, you know. I mean, this time last year we've been knocked out the Champions League, so you're on the roller coaster going down. You've already done a loop de loop already, whereas right now I'm feeling extremely calm, and I'm like, bring on Rugby Park. I'm quite convinced we'll get 3 points. That scares me almost as well, being like that. Do you know that?
No, I'm always here, Bhoycie, and that way it's not because I'm a pessimist. I'm always I never try and get too caught. Even when Martin Neal was the manager, I always felt that every week
Martin Neal's back.
So I always felt like carry on. There you go.
So, no, it said Martin Neal Claxon. That was all he said.
Sorry.
All right, Kevin. Well, I think. No, I was always confident because his teams were just dominating the league to an extent it was unbelievable. But you always had that wee thing you're going, I know, but Dunfermline, they managed to get a draw at Tynecastle last week. You could, you know, and that's natural. I think every football fan, when the game starts, I mean, football can be won and lost in 1 second. 1 second is what it takes. It takes a Ryan Christie gets sent off at Livingston and you lose a match. It takes Artur Boric to fling the ball in the back of the net at Easter Road and you lose the match. You know, these things happen, you know what I mean? But I'm totally... I'm with you, boys. I mean, and that's a great feeling that you know, because the reason why you're feeling like that, well, the reason why I'm feeling confident is because I think we've got a manager who I trust. I mean, we've got players who are either starting 11. As much as I'm picking wee chinks in the armour, I trust every one of them to be at a certain level.
Yeah, me too. You
know what I mean?
I think this is why the debate could go from healthy to seeming toxic. At no point is when we're discussing maybe our favourite selections, is that a negative to the ones we're not preferring? I.e., you know, our favourite topic, Mark, you know, Juranovic, Ralston. At no point is anyone saying Juranovic isn't a good player. He is a good player. We know he's a top player. We know he's more than befitting of a Celtic jersey. We all know that. We just happen to think.
I mean, he's ready to go to Chelsea, so
if push came to shove, though, I'd pick Tony Ralston. That's a good thing. It's a great debate. This isn't an unhealthy debate. It's brilliant. And I think what I love what you said there, Mark, as well. That first 11, I trust them too. I'm in complete trust right now but the manager defines this. You know, and folk can ridicule me on Twitter right now for saying Andrew be the perfect fit in Man United. He fucking would. Right? And that's not me trying to sell our manager because I've not got that power, sadly, Mark. I mean, I really wish I did, mate, but sadly I wouldn't have the job I do day to day if I was in that much of control of, you know, football scouts and chief executives. But what Andrew's done to Celtic from a situation of disarray, Sharkgate, I mean, a complete contempt. a contempt though between board and fans, like probably since the 90s, that you've no seen. He just walked in, played it his way, did it his way. Frank Sinatra did it my way, and also brought this crazy calmness to the whole thing. Why are you laughing at you wee shite? I think Ange Postecoglou deserves a fucking medal for that, by the way. And right now, Mark, there's almost a bit of me that's confused by why I'm so calm. I'm not meant to be calm. The 14th of August, me and you are meant to be going, we're fucked, we're doomed. What's going to happen right now? And right now, it's like, I think it's 3 points again today, guys. I'm quite confident. And I think we're in the Champions League group stage already. And I'm sitting there going, life could be
it's surreal.
worse.
It's strange. I see the thing is, I hate to talk about Man U because it's a club that I despise, but see the problems they've got. There's a disconnect between the board and the fans. We had that, and Ange managed to fix that, which I don't like. There's a squad at Man U that just seemed to be no playing together. We had 15 individuals, it seemed, under Lennon, and they end up. He managed to galvanise that team, bring them on, refocus guys like Carl McGregor, turn them into a captain. No, like
Stuart Armstrong.
Aye, and I think genuinely that Ange could possibly be the ideal fit, because I think he would maybe have a longer time scale to get Man U where they want to be. But he was definitely steady the ship. I think their fans would buy into him a lot sooner than what they buy into the Ajax manager. They'll just go whatever.
Do you know what I think as well, Mark? I think his age works for him as well. See, I think that's helped us. See, because he is that bit older, he does just speak with that wee bit more wisdom that you kind of look for. You're searching for you need solace after losing the 10. You need someone to tell you, Bhoycie, sit down, everything's going to be okay. And just read me a bedtime story, mate, the last 12 months. Every night I went to my bed, he's been reading me a bedtime story. That's how it's felt, though, because he has got that father figure attitude. See, the best thing I'll say about him, and we'll send the klaxon again. But when Martin O'Neill and him spoke on Sky on the last day of the season, you'll have been at the game, Matt. I watched it and I was nearly crying. Because the respect, I'm not just like, that's not me being cheesy. The respect O'Neill had for Ange was unbelievable. He goes, oh, he might have just heard me there like that, and then it turns out because he's been talking him up like that, and the two of them just shake hands and they both just hold the mic, and you went, that's it. That's the two guys that are of the level I look for, I demand. And by the way, Brendan would be. He'd look quite short compared to the two, but he'd be very much in good company, I think, with them. And I think we've got an iconic manager right now that 100%. The Man United thing is an observation, not fact. Right? I don't think Man United are going to follow Mark Cairney or Russell Bhoycie's or Reegan Stevenson's tweets and go, oh, well, if they've said he's good, do you know what? We'll just pay off that guy for £10 million and we'll bring in, come on. Let's get
maybe if Mark Lawwell said it, they would, because he seems to be the doyen of football management, scouting. So.
You're spot on, mate.
So finally, guys, I want to go on to a final talking point. That's about David Turnbull, because I think this season is between probably him and McCarthy and Rio as well. So I think he's going to stake his claim to show Ange that he's capable to step up in the big moments, and obviously Ange put him in today at Rugby Park. So,
well, I don't think David Turnbull's done anything wrong under Ange. David Turnbull's biggest crime was he was injured for 4 months last season. That is his biggest crime.
Right.
If you actually look at his numbers last year, that is an Ange Postecoglou player. It's someone that Ange trusted from the start as well. Bear in mind, Turnbull, when he joined Celtic, obviously joined as a young player, having had a year out, so proper adversity. Remember, he was meant to sign the year before for Celtic. Then he had to spend a year on the sidelines. Then he comes in, and it's the disastrous season that was the not winning the 10 season. He was part of that team. It's not a great introduction. And yet last season, I still think he just put it all to one side. I think he plays with a freedom. I think he's a player Ange properly respects, Reegan. I think he'll play a big part this year.
I mean, if you look at David Turnbull, he was always good at Motherwell, but I think now that that Rogic is left, I think now they can properly embed himself in this team and become the guy that Ange can trust to score goals and secure the passes that'll lead us to like hopefully a treble.
Mark, he's got nothing to worry about, does he? Turnbull.
Turnbull. No, he's definitely a squad. He's in the squad no matter what. He's that good that I think Ange really backs him as a player. But I think Matt O'Reilly's his number one in that position. I think Hatate's in with McCarthy, with McGregor, to be quite honest with you. And it's O'Reilly and Turnbull's jersey to fight for, and I think O'Reilly's just got that bit more about him. But it doesn't mean that we don't rate Turnbull. It's just, for my opinion, I think O'Reilly's just got that. He's a bit more sleeker. You know what I mean? He doesn't dither on the ball. I call it the Turnbull tornado. He goes to a certain part of the pitch and he just does a wee circle and looks about before he makes a pass. I think O'Reilly's just passes. You know what I mean? Just seamless. Just go boom. I think Ange needs that. But Turnbull, to his credit, you know what I mean?
His numbers are good.
He's took that transition from Motherwell to Celtic really well. You know what I mean? And he's probably at a level that higher than I thought he was going to be at, to be honest with you. But
me too.
I think O'Reilly's going to be the main man, but Turnbull's going to get a lot of minutes.
But there's a lot of games, though, to dictate that as well. That's the key. Mm-hmm. And it's all about, I think if Turnbull keeps up the percentage of goal contributions that he did last year, we could be having a funny conversation in 6 months. We could be going, it's O'Reilly who needs to try and get that jersey back, because as long as, Turnbull's got a goal already this season as well, doesn't he? And you look at his minutes on the pitch compared to O'Reilly's so far, and you go, it's good. And again, we can't emphasise enough, Reegan, this is healthy debate. We want them both at Celtic. Yeah. We're delighted they're both there. But yes, as Mark says right now, David Turnbull might be slightly down the pecking order. He gets his chance today. Wouldn't surprise me if he takes it.
Saying that, guys, I'm surprised Tom Rogic still not got a club, because I thought as soon as he left Celtic, he would have something lined up.
Well, I think that decision was taken out of his hands. I don't think that's at all. If Tom Rogic, see if you're a footballer and you've got a year left in your deal and it's a lucrative deal, let's be honest, I think Rodgers re-signed Rogic on 5 years. So it was like, I think he was probably pushing 20 grand a week.
He's done more than that, I think, guy. I think he's on 24, 25, I think.
Fair enough. So over £1 million a year. Let's say that, right? You don't choose to leave Celtic unless you've got something lined up, right? We're not, let's be real. He's now 2 months in the wilderness. Now, is that because he's got demands that are too high? Is that because Neil Lennon, with a couple of, excuse the pun, a couple of ginger bottles to fucking join Omonia Nicosia isn't enough for him? I mean, you would like to think a Tom Rogic, for me, could go to, I think we used this club with Juranovic midweek, but a Brighton. You honestly think he couldn't slip and slide in the English Premier League? Yes, he could. He could. I actually think him against better opposition would make Rogic look better.
Aye.
We get a lot of space in that league. So
I think the opposition sometimes in Scotland, Mark, make players look inferior to what they are, because it's all hash bash, it's panic merchants, you know what I mean, that you're playing against. Everyone's just hammer throws and just running at you 100 mile an hour. As soon as you get the ball, there's about 14 folk on you, hammering you.
Aye.
I think if you watch him with a wee bit, as you say, time and space, I think Rogic could shine in an English Premier League.
I'm gutted he left. See, you look at that bench today, he'd be an ideal player to bring on the park. I've actually got a wee sneaky suspicion that it probably won't happen, but I've got a wee feeling that we've not saw the last day of Tom Rogic at Celtic. I feel something in my head that just says, I don't know, mate. I'm not saying this window, but I've got a wee feeling that I would love it, because I don't think it would take Ange to get him back fit again a long time. I've got a wee feeling that he might be back. He's not even 30 yet. Bring him in. Just say, come on back. We're sorry. Come back.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say sorry. I don't even know what I'm sorry for, but I'm sorry, Tom. Bring him back. I would take him back right now.
That was his last. I think last year was. I might be deluded here, but I think last year
Probably
was probably
his
his
best
best
year.
full season. He's
Aye.
consistent the full season. His fitness levels were that good. I mean,
Yep.
at Easter Road before he got injured, he was unplayable. Him and McGregor won us a game at Ibrox. It was just games where the place he was just standing up. Look at the goal at Dundee United. It was world class.
And that was world class for that goal. World class goal.
Bring him back. Just say, listen, we'll give you $1,000 a week less. We've saved 50 grand. Come on in.
Oh, yeah. And do you know what? See, sometimes as well, your memory plays tricks on you, as you rightfully say, Mark. But the one thing that can't play tricks is moments.
Oh.
And at the end of the day, Tom Rogic is synonymous with, I hope I've said that word right, synonymous with huge Celtic moments in the recent history.
Aye.
Tom Rogic is. You look for big moments, and it's not just that cup final. Do you know the one I loved? Was the Fir Park one.
4-3.
Oh my God. What a game, by the way. That was, you knew it was going to be a roller coaster of a season, but Tom Rogic just stepped up. I don't know if you remember, remember the one at Killie at Rugby Park under Ronnie Dyler?
Aye.
Mm-hmm.
He's a baller, mate. I bring him back. Fuck, what are we looking in the shop market for? If we can sign Aaron Moy on a free, I'll tell you a better Australian on a free transfer.
Aye, we're trying to replace him. We're actually trying to replace him. Just replace him by yourself. I think we're still to replace him. I know there's folks saying we've got two players there, Riley and Turnbull. But we had the two players and Turnbull last season, and we had issues in that area at times. So it tells you that we still need somebody in there, I think.
And also, Mark,
bring him back.
Sorry, Mark. And also, you need to remember that got injured twice in pre-season as well. So I think he's going to pick up wee niggles here and there. Exactly.
We better call it though, Reegan.
Sorry, I was going to say, your starting line 11 and your bench looks strong. It's either you lose one of the players in your 11 off the bench, just lose one of them.
Yeah.
The guy replacing that person, the ladder goes up, and it's no as good.
That's fair.
And there's areas that aren't as fantastically covered as some others. And I think
there's a 29-year-old free agent who knows the league, knows the club, knows the history.
Lawwell likes that wee phrase, you know what I mean? So Lawwell, phone Mark Lawwell to tell Ange that he wants him back.
Okay, guys, well, I've just realised it's 11:45, so we better head off and watch the Celtic versus the Kilmarnock game. Thank you for joining us.
I enjoyed that today, guys. Take care.
Barely Chris Boyd. Cheerio, guys.
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.